Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan battle video. And in this video we are going to cover part 2 of the passive skill breakdown. So obviously for those of you who haven't watched part 1, it'll be the video before this in the tutorial playlist, and we covered the first half of passive skills. Now let's talk about damage reduction. So damage reduction is a very powerful ability. The way it works is it basically reduces the overall attack power before the damage calculation occurs. So for example, if it's 200,000 damage that a unit does, that will be reduced by 80% all the way down to 40,000 before it is calculated against your defense. This obviously makes it pretty powerful. There's a lot of situations in which you can use this, but the main ones you're going to be using this in is pretty much all hard content. Anything like the LGE, GT, ESBR, SBR. Damage reduction is just holistically a very strong ability. Some damage reductions are conditional. Cards like Raditz, where you need 2 or more enemies, or Krillin, where you need to get guard activated. Obviously will change how you play into that factor, but overall it's pretty strong in every situation. Then we have Guard. Guard is an ability that basically treats it so as if you are taking an attack from a type disadvantage. So for example, it treats it as though Janemba is always being attacked by a tech type unit. Similarly with this Dark Mask King, it treats it as if he's always being attacked by a tech type unit as well. This is obviously pretty powerful because it basically reduces the damage by 1.5, the multiplier for type advantage attacks, and makes it pretty powerful as a defensive reduction technique. It's useful in all content as well. Not many enemies in the game have super effective against all types. In fact, I don't think any of them do. So this is another skill that's effective in every single game mode. Even if conditional, it's still very powerful. Then we'll obviously take a look and see what we have in terms of disabling guard. So disabling guard is obviously similar to guard, but you're disabling it. So basically you reduce a unit's guard function, which means all units will deal neutral type damage, even if they are type disadvantage. So it's pretty powerful. Then we have foreseeing super attacks. This is another ability that's powerful in pretty much every single game mode. The reason being is having the ability to foresee where super attacks are going to occur is basically a broken ability. It allows you to completely choose who or what units you're going to have take the damage from the super attack, which is obviously very powerful. The next thing that we'll take a look at is critical hit. So critical hit generally means units that have a chance or increase their chance of critical hits. Units that increase their chance of critical hits are generally units that you want to build additionals on, depending on how much chance of a critical hit that they have, but generally because units have innate critical hit built into them, giving them additionals is really going to maximize their damage more efficiently. Overall, this ability is another one that's useful in every single game mode. Crits are the highest form of damage, and having the ability to crit is always going to help you out. Even units like Master Roshi, who you would have seen in my Easy A for Tapion video, do a massive amount of damage due to the fact that they're critting. And it can really help you out because crits not only do a 1.9 times multiplier, but they also reduce the enemy, or they ignore a certain portion of the enemy defense. So it's a very powerful ability to have, and you should have it in every single game mode if you can. We'll now go into the changing of key spheres. Obviously changing of key spheres is very useful. It's more of an ability that's useful for certain types of game modes. We're talking nuking challenges. Sometimes it will bring out events that will require you to get certain damage thresholds with nuking characters basically. That's where these units are really going to help you out. The punching bag challenge is a prime example of this, and having the ability to change orb types will really help you in increasing the damage of your units. These units would generally go hand in hand with units that can raise their attack and defense per orb or their attack per orb. A notable point of some of these units, like the Majin Vegeta and the Goku, is the ability to also create orbs. Obviously does help out with healing, and it does help out with the map layouts, especially if you're running monotype teams or you have struggles with key overall. It is a powerful ability even outside of nuking events, and you should probably take a orb changer if you can afford to in your team builds in most events, but nuking challenges are where you're going to really rely on these units. They're going to help you out significantly with getting the correct setups to maximize your damage. Raising attack per key sphere. This is very similar to the one before, but this is specifically for nukers. So these units basically thrive on the ability to increase their damage. Some of them, it will just be a minor buff that you get. For other units like the Int LR Gohan, it's essentially their major function. It's how they get all of their damage, and it can be very, very powerful. It is an ability that obviously it's multiplicative, not additive. So every time you're getting each orb, it's stacking onto the previous orb, which means getting, you know, more than 6 or 7 orbs starts to really show out in terms of the damage increases. So yeah, it's one of those abilities that's really powerful, and it can be usable in most situations, but you're definitely going to need nuking units mainly for the punching bag kind of challenges or the nuking events. They are somewhat useful in SBR as well, where the enemies have lower health, and nuking them is a viable option, especially in the SBR or the earlier SBR and ESBR. Mono ESBR is a very powerful one as well. Then we have raising defense for key sphere. This is basically the reciprocal side of the raising attack. Raising defense for key sphere is powerful, but it's a lot less reliable than, say, for example, raising attack. Raising attack is one of those things where it can stack up to a really high number. Raising defense can get to a decently high number, but it's always working on the base stat, and because defense doesn't have a secondary multiplier like a key multiplier or anything like that, it can always be a little bit more underwhelming, especially if you don't have dupes in your units. But units like the Tech SSB Vegeta can have pretty good defense just with their orb, if you get a couple orbs with them. So it just depends. Then we get recovery per key sphere. This is a really powerful ability actually. Units like this Goku SS2 Angel can heal you a tremendous amount because he's creating orbs and then allowing you to heal off of them. Very similarly with Mr. Boo here, he creates orbs and then allows you to heal off of them. Healing is a very powerful ability in most game modes, but it's especially powerful in ESBR and SBR because the ability to heal allows you to save up on items, but it's a powerful ability across all game modes. You're not going to complain that you heal in any game mode, especially with some of the healing that these guys put out. Then we have Raising Ki. So Raising Ki is not entirely common, but it's becoming more common depending on some of the units, and it's a really powerful ability. Obviously it depends, some of them it's per rainbow orb, some of them it's per orb, but overall, realistically, it's just a way for you to get ki on units who maybe lack links, or who, you know, in certain situations, getting those orbs is really going to help them get their ultra super attack for LR cards, or just allow you to get your super attack off in general. It's not an ability that's limited to any game mode. It's generally helpful in pretty much every facet of the game, because obviously ki means super attacks mean success. So raising critical hit on super attack, it's not an entirely common ability, but it is very powerful. You can see it on the Goku Kaioken and the Vegeta, Skada Vegeta. It's an ability that means you're going to want to definitely build these units into additionals, or at least I do, because building these units into additionals and getting 2 or 3 orbs in terms of, you know, their passives means that they're still going to have a decent crit chance while allowing them to additional attack. Then additional attacks. So there's multiple varieties of additional attacks. The first thing that's important to note is that additional attacks can be 3 different types. So you get additional normal attacks. These additional normal attacks will have a chance to always proc a super attack from the hidden potential system. If I have 2 additional normal attacks, each of those normal attacks has a chance to proc. Then you get additional attacks with a chance at a super attack, like this Cooler. Those attacks already have a base chance to super, plus they will then also trigger a proc on the hidden potential system to possibly super as well. But if they super, they don't trigger another chance to super, if that makes sense. And then we get the final ones where it's just basically a guaranteed super attack, similar to the Broly, etc., where basically the Broly will super attack based on a set condition. In this case, getting off his first super attack means he fires the second one. Additionals generally means, especially guaranteed additionals, generally means that you build crit on the unit. The reason being is that for the most part, like in the Vegito Blues case, that crit's going to really increase their damage and make them do quite a large amount of damage, especially since you'll be firing off attacks once or twice. Units with guaranteed criticals obviously are very situational in the most parts. A lot of them, like Broly, have guaranteed crits, but in a certain situation. Cooler is also one of them. It's a very powerful ability, and generally, like in Cooler's case, it's great to go into additionals because Pure Sands is quite a common category. But if the category is not common, or it's not a kind of passive that you're going to get off a lot, I wouldn't suggest doing it. Next we get Evasion. So Evasion is pretty powerful. It's good in every single game mode. Eventually it's not so great in the LGE kind of events because they cancel Evasion near the end of the event, but pretty much in every other game mode it's really reliable, barring like the final stages. SPR and ESPR, it's really powerful. Anything above 50% Evasion is considered quite reliable. Anything below is more considered a bonus. So when you're building around those kind of units, just keep that in mind, that you can, depending on their evasion, they can be unreliable at points. The next is health recovery. So it's important to just keep in mind with recovery of health, just certain factors about it. It's another skill that's really powerful in almost every single game mode, but it has some caveats. Sometimes they will heal below certain thresholds, like this Toa. Other times they will heal at the end of turn or start of turn. This will factor into things like transformation, so always keep this in mind. And then other times also they will heal at a set percentage of your health or a set percentage of the damage they do, like B-Pan. Just remember how all these things work when you're factoring in how much you're going to heal. A unit like B-Pan, when she crits, will heal you way more than when she doesn't, because she does 30% of her damage. So if she does 100k damage, she will heal you for 30k. And then finally we have surviving KOs. This is different to the new revival ability that will come out later on in the game. Surviving KOs basically just means that if this unit gets hit with an attack that would kill you, you can survive. However, it only applies to this unit. If you get hit by other units or anything and you die, you will faint. It's only if this unit is the one that would cause you to die. But yep, that's it guys. So that is it for the passive section. I hope this video helped you guys out, and let me know in the comments how you're finding things in DBZ Dokkan, or if you're still confused about any of the passives. But until the next video, cheers, stay safe, and bye!